subscribe and ring the bell to never miss an update. Hello everyone! Today on Lady Mary Beth, we are shopping AG Antiques on 19th Street in the heart of the Houston Heights. This was originally a dry goods store in the 1930s, is owned by the family today, and they are honoring their grandfather's legacy. It's a unique shop with antiques, vintage, mid-century, collectibles, and more. Come along for a tour of this fabulous store. Join me. It's a great day in the Houston Heights, especially on 19th Street. And Shandy's restaurant is connected to the Antique Mall, and I highly recommend their hamburgers. You could have a wonderful day here with friends at AG Antiques. Look at this showroom window. It is like going back in time to an old downtown and some mid-century finds. Come on in and let's take a look together. Can't wait to discover this shop with you. And I already see some beautiful things. I just love shopping antique stores, and lots of great things to discover here. And in particular, there are three things that I'm looking for today. Tabletop essentials, compotes, rose bowls, and pitchers. Collections such as this art glass. Rare and unusual finds. With over 30 dealers in the store, there are lots of treasures that await us here at AG Antiques. Let's take a look. Beautiful Celadon, chinoiserie inspired. And wouldn't this make a lovely centerpiece for a buffet? Just love it. $3.95 each. These are actually marked down. And I didn't dare lift them up to show you the back stamp, but they look quite heavy and just absolutely stunning. Look at the detail. And we'll see in the other vase a dragon. Very much chinoiserie inspired, and these are good companion pieces. Mid-century, this would be a lovely breakfast table with a matching hutch or china cabinet. Isn't that neat? Lots of estate sales in the areas have mid-century. $1,895 for the mid-century dining table. And I just love the whole look. It's very popular today, and of course you're getting something of quality. And the upholstery's in great condition. And we're already finding a compote. No surprise, this store has it all. Look at the detail on the stem of this. We'll have to take a closer look at that beautiful etched pattern and learn a bit more about the manufacturer and the history of this piece. We're all about the compotes. So many uses for this all-important vessel. You may want to take a look in the video description for my collection and my ideas for using this. The Fostoria Navarre pattern was made 1936 to 1982. It was later sold to the Lenox Company, where they discontinued it in 1992. And this is priced at $48. Some rare finds here. The German wine corks. And I like how they're displayed. That must also be original. Looks like an entire set for $269, and they are porcelain. And I'm thinking these must have been from the 1950s. And an entire set from the Franklin Mint of mini Toby jugs. That's quite a collection for $245 from 1982. I do have some friends that collect these Toby jugs, along with Belique. Right here, my friend Cassidy, she's got a collection of both. This cup and saucer is lovely at $62. And you'll always want to look at the back stamp for Belique because that determines the age of it. You can look that up on the internet, and all different colors and different eras. Burled wood is calling us over. This is an incredible Biedermeier chest of drawers. Just love it. Let's take a closer look It is $2,200, 19th century Scandinavian. 7 drawers. This is a lovely booth, and there's some great price points, something for everyone, including men's gifts. Magnifying glass is always a great gift idea. It looks interesting on your coffee table, and it's, of course, quite practical. The chinoiserie, one of my favorites, of course. And some ginger jars, lots of different things to carry out that look, including figurines. And that also looks nice on a buffet. You could have some fun with that. Decanters. I get lots of questions about storing liqueurs in decanters that are, of course, lead crystal. This is a beautiful Baccarat for $385. I suggest you do not store, but you serve in these. There is some lead content. It will not do you any harm, but again, I would not store long term. This looks like some fun bubbles, but it's actually a votive candle holder. And very well priced, as you can see. Look at that back stamp. And we'll talk more about it. You can also find some great gifts while you're antique shopping. This is an Aurifers Swedish crystal raspberry votive. That's actually the name of the pattern, and it is well priced at $15. These originally retailed for $50, and I can tell you that my wholesale cost was actually more than this. An excellent price, and you will see the Aurifers back stamp on it. It is acid etched. Brilliant Crystal is calling. Just have to take a closer look at this. It is very much an interesting paperweight that would add interest to your coffee table or side table, $89, and it is vintage Waterford crystal. Look how the light refracts. Just absolutely a stunning piece that is unexpected. Love the secretary and all the interesting objects inside. Lots to discover here, including an English toast rack. You could use that for mail, for letters. And a G. Armani eagle. I had a wholesale account at one time with Giuseppe Armani when I started my corporate gift business, $295. And you'll always want to look for that signature that is part of the porcelain. And that's how you know it's a G. Armani, often on a wooden base. A Waterford crystal paperweight that is definitely a classic, most likely from the 1960s or 70s. This is before they were in the shape of something particular like a shamrock or even an eagle. And it was just showcasing their beautiful craftsmanship. And this is $89. We can also get ideas while antique shopping for styling a secretary, for example. It's not all about stacking the books. We can add some collections and items of interest for our home. Absolutely beautiful. There's lots to see in this booth. I encourage you to make a trip out to AG Antiques because there's just not enough time to show you everything today. But we do want to look at some mid-century items, including brass. It is making a comeback and it does add some interest, whether you place it in your kitchen or on a coffee table, even a bedroom. Here's a creamer and sugar. Let's turn it over, see the price. It is $72 for the pair. And of course, you could use that as a vase for flowers. You could put something interesting inside. It doesn't have to be used for its intended purpose. And mid-century barware. I like that ice bucket. $35 for the set, which is actually a fair price. And we love our beautiful chinoiserie, and especially all those gorgeous colors. We've got some handbags here inside as well. Let's take a look at that vase. You'll notice the brilliant colors. It is fluted. It has so much detail, not only in the painting, but in the style. And it is Delft. It's been marked down to $195. It's always fun to find Delft when you're antique shopping, and this is an amazing piece that is chinoiserie inspired. You'll see that it's a ginger jar with a food dog at the top. It is polychrome, which means that it was either painted or printed in several colors. And the dealer tells us this is from the 19th century. It is marked Poly Delft, Royal Holland. And some of us have Delft in our collections. This is quite exquisite. The aqua velvet chiselong is quite inviting. And let's look in the glass case. and see what awaits. An amazing collection from Time Gone By. Oyster plates. It is refinement on the half shell. They're usually comprised of 6 wells for raw oysters. And in the center, there's a shallow well for cocktail sauce or for lemons. And they were popular in the mid-1800s, at first with the aristocracy and then the middle class. And they lost popularity after World War I with the over-harvesting of oysters. Originally, the wells were much deeper to accommodate the half shell, and it scratched the hand decoration, so they redesigned it to make shallower wells. And there are just so many different designs, it's quite fun to collect, anywhere from 200 and up. And I do remember seeing these for the first time in the 1980s at antique shows, and I always found them interesting. And I haven't actually seen someone use them for serving, but of course they're practical. Maybe even use it as a jewelry dish. This one is $255 with the basket weave design. I like the contrast. Beautiful. Such a special find. Oyster plates would make a great collection. Of course, you could use these on your table as well, like the society hostesses. But wouldn't that be interesting to have a variety of different makers? This one here is beautiful with a back stamp, and it's Sagemünd, France, which is not far from our home in Germany, and that is a brand that we find often. And this is probably from about the turn of the century. Fine crystal and a china pattern for all seasons. You're probably familiar with Spode, but you may not have seen an older pattern. It's called cowslip. And look at all these colors: yellow, blue, red, green, brown, creamware. And this would definitely go with so many different looks. Beautiful back stamp. And who can resist a crystal rose bowl? Would be a great gift too. A beautiful design. Absolutely stunning. Another great tabletop essential, the crystal rose bowl. You may want to take a look at a previous segment where I share many uses for this all-important vessel. This is actually made in the German Democratic Republic, former East Germany, and that makes it extra special. $120, and it has the sticker that gives us all the information. This would be a great gift or addition for your tabletop and home. I definitely would have said Eastern European, possibly German, with that notched rim, and the sticker gives it away. Crystal Clear Industries. Let's take a look at this inviting booth. It's always a good idea when you're antique shopping to get some design ideas, and often you can visit with the dealers and learn something, and perhaps you could get some ideas of what to look for when you're out thrifting. And certainly an eclectic look would be an inviting addition to your home. I'm loving those gold chairs. And we'll meet with the antiques dealer, and he will share some tips with our classic blue and white. I'm pleased to introduce you to Lonnie of Lonnie's Arts. He has an amazing booth with some of our classic blue and white, and he's going to share with us some tips to segue to the seasons.
We begin in Houston in our blue and white season of spring. We have our beautiful food dogs here, the lovely story being retold often through the blue and white pattern of the blue and white willow. And thank you for introducing me to that pattern. Would you care to hang the last of my blue and white decoupage DIY ornaments on my blue willow tree?
Absolutely.
Oh, it looks lovely.
In whichever season you happen to find yourself in, you can always build around your blue and white collection. The Easter bunnies from Fitz and Floyd would add a touch of whimsy, $135 for the cookie jar. And so that you don't have to store your blue and white, you could certainly build around it. I use mine at Christmas a lot. You may have seen in a previous segment. And Lonnie is getting us ready for Easter with a very economical way to carry out the blue and white.
A handcrafted bag, vintage ribbon, and decoupaged Easter eggs. Aren't they pretty?
Did you make these with napkins and
tissue napkins in the blue willow pattern? You can find them.
And now we're experiencing some different seasons, and I love that you started with a silver tray as a base.
Isn't this a lovely silver plated tray? Nice large one. It can do for lots of projects. Well, I have used this for my nativity scene. So I do think that's a lovely presentation, easy to put on the dining room table, then take right off. It's a great investment piece. The pumpkins are going to be my Cinderella's carriage for this season and can easily walk into my Christmas ideas, which are fence finials if you can find them. These old beautiful fence finials, always with my blue and white guardian angels.
Love the food dogs. And you could certainly add a touch of gold to your blue and white. It doesn't have to be just a seasonal look. You could change up the accent colors. These vases are quite lovely statement pieces, $350 each. And they're sold as a pair because you wouldn't want to break those up. And these gold chairs are quite something. It definitely makes a statement. And let's take a look at the price, $3,200 for these Rococo chairs, and that is for the pair. And there are also some affordable items in the booth as well. You could take a look at some of the figurines or accent pieces. And I do like to add the figural pieces, especially those from Japan. And they're hand painted. Post-war, these were quite popular, and it adds some interest. There's that beautiful back stamp. Even as a centerpiece, you can add some elements. I've used these over the years. You probably have seen in some of my segments, including for Easter. And here's a look at the decoupage Christmas ornaments and those fabulous food dogs. Just lovely. And the set here is quite inviting, and you can buy them separately. $75 for the 3 pieces, known as a trio in some of the Commonwealth countries. And here's a closer look. Koblenz china from England. It's always nice to find an unusual item when you're out antique shopping, and this is quite rare. Any guesses? It's a cigarette holder. It has an interesting story. The Dresden porcelain manufacturer, known as the Sächsische Porzellan Manufaktur, was founded in 1872 in Dresden, former East Germany. And this is a company that was started by Karl Thieme. And they've got some interesting things. They're all hand-painted, luxurious, decorative porcelain items. Let's take a closer look. Such detail with this hand-painted porcelain. And I'm sure this was a staple. As guests arrived, you would want to serve them with cigarettes. I just can't imagine today, but you know, things do change over time. And we can certainly embrace this as a unique find and find a way to repurpose this. I would love to hear from you. Maybe you've got some great ideas. $179. Love that pink band. That is quite something. If you'd like to know the history of a piece or more information, turn it over and look for a back stamp, because there it is right there. We know this piece was made from 1902 onwards because it is the trademarked 1902 back stamp for Sächsische Porzellan. And we have the letters SP, followed by Dresden, because they were located 8 kilometers southwest of the city of Dresden in the state of Saxony, Germany. I'm loving this booth, so many interesting items. And I'm drawn to this desk, and that desk chair just looks fabulous with the oversized chinoiserie ginger jar, $115. You could even hang a tassel from the finial. Wouldn't that be interesting? And of course, use that as a centerpiece as well, or on an entry table. And this I've actually seen turned upside down and used as sort of a plateau. You can place a vase on top, something interesting for a buffet centerpiece, $225. I like that secretary. There's a lot to discover as you walk the aisles, and you even find some treasures inside the cases. And I'm thinking this looks like Jackie Kennedy, the planter. If you agree, let me know. I'm thinking that that was modeled after her. But of course, my eyes are also on this beautiful Waterford crystal. And that's part of the Romance of Ireland collection. And I will tell you all about it. always look for treasures in the case. This is the Rock of Cashel vase from Waterford Crystal. It is $135. This debuted at $250 retail in the 90s. They had other items in the collection, for example, the Doors of Dublin bowl and the Lismore Castle vase, the Ring of Kerry bowl, which is on my eBay store, and some other great items. And I love the trumpet shape. This is a great find today. The Aran Isles bowl comes to mind as well as part of the Romance of Ireland collection. And here we have a set of 4 Baccarat place card holders. $115 is an excellent price. And Baccarat is known as the Crystal of Kings in the signature red box. And lots of glass and crystal here today, including Cartier, another French crystal, and collections with the Lladró figurines from Spain, Hummels, and even coral, which goes with so many different design elements. A set of 4 cordials for $199. Come on in to a treasure trove of Waterford crystal and many other fantastic finds. This you may recognize as the #1 stemware pattern in the world across all of tabletop. It is Lismore from Waterford Crystal. And they have this priced at $59 and it retails for $100. And this is the classic beautiful cuts that you cannot get anymore. Today it is made in Slovenia and it is without lead and it's also dishwasher safe. So this is definitely a better product and a fair price. And a pair of lamps. This could go in any room of your home, bedroom, living room, even in an office. And they certainly don't have to be evenly placed. You could have them in different areas of your home. And then you can always pull the pair together again. And you'll want to look for the brass to make sure it's in good condition. And I see the original Waterford sticker still on it. And the shades can easily be replaced. In fact, I would highly suggest it because this would be an older piece and you may want to add something dramatic. And here we have a pair of Waterford Crystal Lissadell lamps. And they're called Lissadell because that is the pattern, which is actually an inverted Lissadell decanter that came out in the 90s during my time with Waterford Crystal. And these actually are quite valuable now because Waterford no longer makes lightingware. Sadly, they have discontinued that. They are owned by Fiskars, the scissors company, a Finnish group, and lots of changes with Waterford. So when you see it at an antique shop, that's the time to buy it. Another familiar pattern. There's so many here. It's like walking down memory lane. I see Maeve, Alana, and some that you probably have not seen because department stores these days just don't carry very much crystal at all. And even in the 90s, they had maybe just a core assortment of no more than maybe 10 different patterns. And this one is extra special. One of the most exquisite Waterford crystal patterns is Power's Court. It was made from 1969 to 2017, and it features interconnected diamond cuts. It was inspired by the gardens, also named Power's Court, in County Wicklow, Ireland. And priced at $69 is very fair. These are now available in the secondary market for as much as $200, and it is one of the finest patterns that Waterford has ever made. My friend Mark has an extensive collection of Power's Court. Isn't it beautiful? And we'll take a look at some more Waterford, including some unusual shapes, the saucer champagne, the tumblers, and the hock wines. And of course the cut to clear, which would make any table just magnificent. $125 for the flutes, $110 for the wines in that green Baccarat. And if you're trying to identify crystal and find out the manufacturer, you'll want to turn it over and you will normally find an acid etched stamp. With Waterford Crystal, it spells out Waterford. Baccarat is a round logo with Baccarat inside. And you may find Lenox, Orfors, different brands. They always have the maker's mark. And that cobalt pairs nicely. You'll see a very plain glass mixed with the fine crystal, and it works really well. One reason to choose Waterford Crystal in making your selection is that Waterford never discontinues a classic pattern. The Marquee line would be, of course, the exception. And they place it on special order status if it is discontinued, and it takes 6 months to a year with a price increase, and then you can fill your set of Alana or Bally Lee. Isn't that beautiful? I'm waiting on confirmation from Waterford to see if they still honor this. They are now owned by a different company, and there are lots of changes, and I'm thinking that the answer is no. So if you see your pattern out in the wild, you need to pick it up. Quite an inviting look with a collection of blue and white plates. And I see some mid-century oyster plates. These are not from the Victorian era. These would have been used more recently, probably in the 1960s. $133 for the olive green, with a very unique back stamp with a windmill, made in France. And there are a lot of seafood markets in France. It is quite the way of life. It fits with their cuisine. We have a home in Germany just over the other side of France, and it's about 10 minutes to the local grocery store, and that's the place to go for fresh seafood. This mid-century server is fun. Wouldn't that be great on a breakfast table with your condiments? $130. And the vases and ginger jar are just fabulous with the food dog. And there's a lot to discover here, and I'm thinking even that secretary would be interesting. You could place it in any room of your home, including a powder room if you have the space. That settee at the end of a bed would be lovely. And the blue lamps make quite a statement there. You'll notice they're elevated on a stack of books. That's a great way to really add interest to any setting, including a centerpiece. Framed maps. And I like the combination we have: furniture, artwork, vintage glass. And it's really neat to see all the things that the dealers bring together to create their story. And that chandelier was $1,800. I saw that later. Just a lot to discover, including this heart that I found that I'll show you in just a moment. And a Victorian toast rack. Here's this flower frog. It's for posies. It's $18 vintage, and I just love it. You could do so much with that, and of course you don't have to fill it with flowers. That could be something that you place a vase in the center of to create interest. And now we'll go into another booth and take a look down the aisle. Always something interesting to see, including a hall of mirrors. I just love the variety here. And again, they've placed them together, so we've got a collection. We're drawn to it. $260 for this Asian-inspired mirror. And I certainly avoid going to retail stores when I'm looking for mirrors, artwork, and tabletop, because you get more interesting items and the price is better. From the 1920s to 30s, $295 for the beveled mirror. And I like to place a mirror in the entryway. I think that's something that you really need before you step out the door. Just take a quick look. Collections. Lladró, these are figurines from Spain. I know many of you collect them. And some clocks as well, which are perfect for so many gift needs and celebrations. And this I thought was quite interesting. It's definitely a modern look. That striking gold, it looks to be Versace. It's $195 for the cup and saucer. It is quite over the top. And then the classic Jasperware from Wedgwood. Those teacups and saucers are so fun. And the Dresden-inspired dolls. These are really neat. I know they're highly collectible and such intricate work. If you walk straight ahead, you will run into Shandy's, the restaurant. Highly recommend it. And I see some elegant glass of the Depression era. And the fleur-de-lis handle is really perfect. At least I call it a handle because it's easy to pick that up and serve. and great for so many purposes. In fact, I've shared some tips along the way. And it's uranium glass, $58. These panels are incredible. I just had to share this with you. And you could use this as a backdrop for anything, perhaps even hang it behind a bed. 1,800 from the Qing Dynasty, 1644 to 1912. And they are lacquer with gold leaf. Wouldn't that be an amazing headboard? It's quite the find. And I do like to look at silver, especially Victorian or Edwardian, with mother of pearl handles. And that's something that we definitely don't see every day in antique stores. And the dealer gives us lots of information. It's a fish service, $749 from about the 1830s. Quite an interesting lampshade for this carved golden oak floor lamp. Love the combination. The eclectic look would definitely add interest to your home, and it doesn't appear so stuffy when you're having a little bit more fun with the lampshade. $295. And now let's take a look at some mid-century furniture. If you're looking for just that one armchair to finish off your look, it's got caning, $445. It is a Royal Maxwell hickory chair. And some great mid-century modern options. The Gucci handbag, $1,195. I had one that looked almost identical to this that I purchased in Switzerland when I was in high school. That was probably one of my biggest purchases ever. I coveted that handbag. And vintage evening bags. Here's a nice collection. And if you want to add a touch of vintage to an outfit, this certainly would be a nice fashion accessory. Lucite purses, I tell you, I just do remember a lot of these basket style, even the wooden, they were hand painted on the lids. You may remember those. And some fashion jewelry as well. Lots to discover here. And I wanted to point out these mid-century ashtrays. They are hard to find and they've become quite collectible. And of course, I'm thinking you could just float a flower, but some people do use them. And art glass. There's so many companies represented. I have worked with Lundberg Studios in California, and it makes quite a nice collection. You can certainly appreciate the craftsmanship. And always take a look in the cases. That's where you find some really neat pieces. And the Jasperware from Wedgwood. Covered boxes are always fun, and you could place something interesting inside if you're giving it as a gift. And that one's in great condition. And here's a vase, $39. Some good gift ideas here. I really like this pedestal piece. It's a neoclassical design. And Waterford crystal clocks. The shell, the cottage, these are, I think, $65. And the heart, this one came out in the 90s. I especially like it. And it's actually one I do not have. I like to use timepieces in a New Year's Eve celebration, tablescape, a collection of time. And the cups and saucers. Oh, we could have such fun with these. And always turn it over, look at the back stamp, because it gives you lots of information. And I have presented my teacup collection in a previous episode, including all about the history of the maker's marks. Just love this. This is from Japan. And a lot of these you will find are definitely eclectic enough that you can mix them together. Maybe you have a white dinner plate that unifies everything, or even a cake plate, and you can pair with a variety. And the snack sets, of course, those are very popular. Indiana Glass Company in the harvest pattern. And those are practical, $66 for all of those 6 plates and cups. And a beautiful crystal pitcher. I just knew I would find one today. Absolutely stunning. A pretty and practical pitcher that can elevate your everyday. This is cut glass. It is $125, and I would say it's probably about 100 years old. This would be a nice addition to your home and entertaining, and of course, a fantastic gift. Such fine craftsmanship and attention to detail in every cut. That's something that you don't find in your local box store, and yet another reason to visit your local antique shop. This is a pattern that you probably recognize, Blue Willow, developed by Thomas Turner in 1779 in England. And it holds an important place in antique dinnerware history. Versions of it were made by dozens of different potteries. In fact, they say that over a span of 200 years, as many as 500 different manufacturers have made a variation of the Blue Willow. And this happens to be Churchill. And it is transferware. If you're hosting a large gathering and you need to keep some dinner plates on hand, maybe you don't need all the serving pieces, this would be a great option. 47 plates for $290. It is the classic Blue Willow that, as we know, goes with all seasons. And it has the Churchill England back stamp. That's an excellent brand, and this would be a nice addition to your entertaining, and you can always have it close at hand. You could actually split these plates with a friend or relative and then borrow from one another for your larger parties and events. And some more transferware. And that's something that is made when an engraved plate is inked and pressed onto tissue, and it's then used to transfer the design onto the piece. And this process creates a delicate repeating pattern, usually all in one color. And there may be some subtle lines where the tissue is crinkled, motifs are joined together. And you mostly see it in the classic blue color, but here we have another great option. And Blarney Castle, they give us lots of detail in this transferware. And those back stamps are very telling. Romantic England, Suffolk, Willie Lott's Cottage. We actually have family that came over to the colonies from Suffolk. Penshurst Street Place, Kent. Red or pink transferware, as it's often known, is a great option for your tabletop essentials. This is Old Britain Castles, made by Johnson Brothers. Well priced at $11 for each rimmed soup. And it blends beautifully with this J&G Meakin pattern. This is from England with a beautiful back stamp. The berry bowl is $11 and dessert plate is $14. And I love all the historical tie-ins with this transferware, and that would be a really great option for all seasons. A wall of vintage glasses. These are absolutely fabulous. Many of these I've not actually seen before, and they're sold as sets, which I think is perfect because you want to keep these together. And Culver is a company that I have noticed before and found these at estate sales. The gold embellishments. And let's take a look at some of that green and gold. And the Valencia, a set of 6 for $189, has a 22 karat gold rim. And the Ebony Baroque, $189 for a set of 7. And of course the Blinko carafes, those are still made today. Just love it. And I've had such fun at AG Antiques today. I hope that you've enjoyed it as well. And if you're in the Houston area, make sure you come on out. This was the sweetest surprise, Blue Willow glasses from Johnson Brothers. Lots of great finds here today, and maybe you'll pick these up for $129 for a set of 8. We found some great tabletop essentials, rare and unusual finds, and additions to collections. This crystal pitcher with the Hobstar design is $110. Thanks again for joining Lady Mary Beth. Elevate your everyday with antique shopping.